Right, this is a possible sequel. Um, but I was thinking of the the same mate I referred to in the last video, and there was a time we'd been to a festival and we'd all like pitched our tents up and that, and it was late in the evening. We went out to the cars, and it was across a field through a little kind of like windy path that they'd fenced off, and then into the car park. And just as we got to the car park, I was like, "Fucking hell! I forgot my keys." Which was by then a fucking oh my key kind of a moment. And again, those can be a little bit because it's like it's already pushing my own fucking button. And when you get that response, I can interpret your response, and I know it's not bad. So I have to just sit with the fucking consequences if it's just ridiculizing my shit, the shit that unsettles me. Um, but I know that that's everyone has that to fucking deal with in lots of ways. You know what I mean? Banter is banter. Um, But it's like, yeah, then they soon saw the fucking extent of it because we went back to the tent, got my keys, get back to the door, and they were like, well, you can't go out, they've closed it now. And so, fortunately, because I'm a bantery character, I'd got to know one of the security guards, and I was like, please, I lost my keys. And she already knew that I was a dumbass because she'd searched my bags and she'd been chatting to me and she could see I was fucking all over the shop. So we went and they stopped my mate, and she actually said to him, "Well, you don't need to exactly hold his hand, do you?" You're like, no, all right then. 45 fucking minutes. I was 45 minutes looking for the car. I'd remembered it's like right out the entrance, under that tape fence, under that tape fence, and it's 3 rows of cars down just on the right. I didn't tell myself that I had to walk out the right entrance, did I? That's how simple it was, and I was in bafflement. The world had fucking switched itself around, and I wasn't even fucking lying. That's how I experienced it, and I know that people by that point would burst out laughing. That's one of the difficulties. Because when I say that, I'm talking about an incredibly frightening, fucking bewildering experience that when it's real and cold and harsh and happening, it's way different to how it sounds when you describe it. Especially when I describe it, because I make things sound funny. But that's why that can be a huge thing. I'm really touching on something quite fucking and it sounds so fucking hilarious. The world had moved itself around. It's like fucking, where the fuck's your head at? That's when I get my head ruffled. You live in a funny fucking planet, you, don't you, mate? And they're so often, like, they don't know. Yeah, another word for that is ignorance. They're ignoring something in a lot of ways. That's what ignorance means. You're just ignoring something. Um, But it was like my mate did say to me about the holding hands. He's like, should have actually said yes because I think he was saying, mate, I fucking knew you'd be bad. Then he rang me after 45 minutes and I was in fucking bits. He was proper baffled. He's like, mate, you okay? I was like, no. I was spewing. I was fucking spewing because nothing made sense. And then I found the car while I was on the phone to him. It was quite weird. It was quite weird. But I had been walking around rows of cars for 45 minutes, retracing my steps back to the fucking gate and just thinking, I just fucking saw this. It happened. And again, it's like, yeah, it sounds funny, but I'm talking about the kind of thing, that kind of thing can happen. I can lose 5-6 hours every day to shit like that, looking for things and stuff. And it really does become not funny when you're putting up with it all week and then it's happening like that and everyone wants to make a joke out of it and tell you to just don't be silly and just love and accept yourself. And it's fucking hard, man, because it's like, you should have come and fucking held my hand. I'm not far off that stage of being fucking supervised. Do you know what I mean? It's like when your support worker says you're a 2 out of 10. You have to listen, and I have to not listen to you lot that tell me it's just my perception, and then all I need to do is this, that, or the other. It's like she's the professionals. She's working in the field with people like me. So it's you know what I mean. In a lot of ways, I kind of am at that stage. That's the point I was going to make in that other video that I don't even know has gone up yet. That you've got really obviously has mental health issues and somewhere within expected normal. And I know that I'm over fucking halfway to that one. But I'm still expected to be in what everyone else is calling normal range. I'm still in there according to them. I'm not allowed to be where I am. which again leads to that. Why do you care what other people think? It's not. It's when things are declared a nothing, they are treated as a nothing, and they're treated like they're air and they don't exist. You know, when people have concluded that you must think you're the only one with problems, or that you haven't just done this or that and the other, then they care less, because they think, I've given you the tools to do the job. If you're not using them to do the job, you deserve to be in pain. Because that makes a lot of sense. If those tools were guaranteed to fucking work each and every time on every single person. And my little point is, they don't fucking always. Stop insisting on them. Stop insisting on them. Because I am only one of many, 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 many people like me, and I just think a lot of the others aren't talking about it. I know a lot of the others aren't talking about it. I've met a lot of the others that aren't talking about it, because they're not allowed, because they get retuned. Because it does seem impossible. It's like you get to that point where it just seems that I am wanting to stay here. Like the acknowledgement that it's a disease, it's an illness, is seen as wanting to hold on to it. It's like, no, it's actually called being rational. You know, Dr. Blooperty's rationale is when we were talking about labels, and I was saying the whole thing with a label is, you know, if there is one, if it helps me, I will have it. If I fit a label because of all this, because all this is true, regardless of what the fucking lists of symptoms and names say, what's this? All of this shit that's happening. If you can give some of that a label and treat it, then let's do that. That's, you know, that's always been my thinking behind getting all this shit sorted. It's always been my aim. And that's what he said about the label. He said it's, you know, it's nothing to do with giving you a label. It's equipping you with the toolkit that you need to live your life more normally, to recognise where your difficulties are, and, you know, equip you with strategies to cope with them. Absolutely, mate. Bang fucking on. I'm in the right room then. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm still, you know, this shit isn't in my head. It's very real, and it's very recent that I'm so often told it's just. And I don't get it. It's a huge infuriation. It's like, my leg's bleeding. Well, stop bleeding then. Just stop bleeding, you wouldn't be losing so much fucking blood. You seen this cunt? Losing blood? He's not still bleeding, is he? Yeah. Doesn't stop bleeding. Just stop bleeding. How do I stop bleeding? Just stop. Just don't bleed anymore. That's how ludicrous some of the advice sounds to me, and bewildering. You'd get angry too if you were frustrated with a bleeding leg and people saying, just stop fucking bleeding, you dickhead. Because that's how it feels. That's how it feels. Don't know. We're all too quick to just encourage each other that everything's fine and don't worry about it and we'll go through it. And that must work for a lot of people, but for people like me, it makes things more toxic, because it makes the world seem as if it really does underline that it is all just in my head. I'm the only one in this room, and da 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 da. And it's like, I've got an ill head which generates ill feelings, and I experience them as real. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. So the fact that I've got an ill head means it doesn't think properly, it means I can't control it properly. And society wants to just shout at me with basic self-control methods that were failing years ago. And tell me I've got an attitude problem. And I think anyone would develop an attitude problem. Anyone would, if they continuously get to that point where they think they're getting through to someone and then they suddenly don't, and then watch that person conclude all of the fucking shit that they were starting to understand. Suddenly, it's weird, mate. It's weird. Yeah, and that fuels this need to be heard. That fuels this need to be heard, because it's like, I'm living with something this significant, and it is like there's deaf ears and eyes, and there's the world is cold. A lot of the time, the world's very cold. There's an atmosphere to a lot of things. I shared a post this morning on Schizotype, and it said it feels like 3:17 on a Saturday, and it's like, I totally related to it. I can say that things feel like certain times, but there's a lot of different feels to a lot of different days, and they can contribute to my not wanting to be in a situation. If the wrong type of day is happening at the wrong type of feeling, and da 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 da, there can be just atmospheres to a day. It can be an atmosphere to a room. to a bus, to everything. It's, you know, opening this shit up has made me realise how much of this shit I have been fucking dealing with and thinking it was actually just normal because you lot were telling me we all went through it. And when I realised how much fucking colossal unrest and how much other people would not be thinking any of the things that I'm thinking or experience any of the things that I'm experiencing, doing the same process. And I know this because when I explain it to them, I get nothing but frowns and puzzled, what are you on about? But how dare you say you're different? Yet again, the world doesn't make sense. And you know, that voice, that hello, that's actually a really sinister feeling. So imagine that sinister feeling when this shit comes up that people are joking about. It's like, yes, this feels awful, doesn't it? But look how it's making them smile. It's because they're seeing things differently to you. Yes. You know, fucking hell. My ADHD wasn't really happening until it was. And then, well, I should just be able to stop it happening then. None of this was fucking real until it was. But then part of the what's real about it is the fact that I don't know what's real. And that's what's been contributing to it. And I'm also living in a world where a lot of people do think that actually even the names of what I'm going through aren't real. Everything that I'm experiencing isn't real. But yeah, I've got a knowledge that I'm not good at deciphering whether things are real. The only thing that's real is the fucking pain. That's what's fucking real. My pain is not my thoughts. My confusion, my utter unrelated to anything how I feel, like to do with how I feel about myself. Weird arguments, weird situations, weird levels of fucking very low function when I, you know, think I'm doing things and just packing something away and then it's taken me 4 hours to do half an hour's work. I didn't realise. Shit like that. And you can't just cure that by saying you think too much or whatever. You know, intrusive thoughts. That's what they're called. Society calls it obsessive. Or self-obsessed cunt that thinks he's the only one with problems. It's a fucking symptom and it's fucking unpleasant. But yeah, everyone's telling me I can just switch it off. Apart from the only people that actually know about this shit. Which is where you get sent when you get this fucking sick. When the society even tries to tell them that they're wrong. Are you confused yet? What is real? What the fuck even is fucking real? Bearing in mind, you need to have a sense of what's real in order to be able to function normally. Have a sense of what's real, who you are, and where you are at a very basic level. The fundamentals of which run as a thread throughout every single thought, feeling, and action that you have. And let's just all unsettle them all a little bit. You will end up this hilarious. You will end up this hilarious is what will happen. And with someone who is genuinely fucking confused, genuinely wants to fucking help himself, and is genuinely fucking baffled by the amount of times he's sent away with his tail between his legs from a world that was imploring him to come and open up and share, and it's good to share. And very often isn't. It's quite belittling to share sometimes. It can be. It can be. You'd be scared of this shit too. You know? This is how so often I know when people say they know what I'm going through. They fucking don't. Because when I describe all this sort of shit, they minimise it. And I think, well, you haven't experienced it then. Because if I heard someone talking about this sort of shit, I'd know exactly where they fucking were, mate. I wouldn't be saying the shit that you say to them. That's the reality of it. I wouldn't. And I think it's not that people like me are saying, oh, we're different, like I'm the only one in the world. That's where it comes across. I think what we're saying is, no, I am one of the definitely, clearly different ones. There's a lot of us. I'm one of those. So doing things your way doesn't work. That's all I'm trying to say. Ooh, get you. You're special. Instantly into sarcastic mode. Quite a lot of you, society, are fucking assholes, let's be honest. Because you know that shit's out there. You learn from experiences and emotional experiences. You see the attitudes. You see how people get treated. You hear the assumptions people make. Your subconscious learns. If you're seeing and thinking it consciously, trust me, there's a hell of a lot more going on subconsciously. I think what's actually happened with me, this is one of my quasi-scientific theories, is there is that tendency to create extra parts of your subconscious. Well, I think then it boils over to a certain point where that's why the put your head up in the air and be cognitive about it doesn't work anymore, because there's only about that much left of that bit. Everything else is all subconscious, and that's the shit that manifests in the body, and that's where I'm getting huge body illusions and massive creepy feelings, because I don't know anything anymore, because I've made everything subconscious, because none of it made sense. That actually makes sense. It does. It does. That's why it's overpowering and all-consuming, because it's about 90 fucking 9.3% of me, I guess.